You get 3 rolls on this dice tower, and I have 8 random questions here. And whatever you roll, that's where we start.
Okay, here we go.
You know dice towers.
I know how to do a dice game.
I love it. All right, so this is an acting one. This one's called High-Low. I want to know an audition high you experience, and then also not necessarily an audition low, but something you experienced that you learned from and then applied to future auditions.
Oh, gosh. Okay. Well, I would say, I'll say an audition that I did that wasn't a high per se, but I was really angry. I had to go in and play a boxer, and these girls were talking throughout the room while I was trying to prepare. And I was getting angrier and angrier and angrier. And finally I got up and I was like, listen, you guys, take it outside if you're going to talk. I'm trying to concentrate. I'm done. And they got all flustered and they left, and I felt so bad. But I went in with that energy and nailed the part, got the part. And I was like, I have to remember that. I have to remember if I'm going in for something like that angry and powerful to maybe yell at somebody beforehand.
Oh, what a technique.
Yeah, there's a technique for you. And I've had so many disappointments through the years, but yeah. Oh gosh, early in my career, I went to an audition, and it was a big audition house. I'm not going to say where. And it was a woman who was running the audition, so I felt safe, but I had to strip down. And it was humiliating, and I did it. I was very young, and I got the part. But I took myself off the movie because it turned out that the whole movie was like that. And I was like, okay, I'm not gonna put myself in this position ever again.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I don't blame you.
Unfortunately, they actually got sued for that and closed down and all this stuff. Yeah, it was way back in the day.
Oh, when I was doing my research, we'll get to this later, but I was reading that you were asked to teach, and then I looked up what you taught, and you were teaching on-screen auditions.
Yeah.
And I just feel like, applying that experience and spreading the word and making sure people who are following in your trail are in safe places.
Well, I actually do
important.
tell that story to students because of that.
Yeah.
I mean, you really do have to know your boundaries before you go in, and they will make you feel safe. And it's really, you have to hold on to your own convictions. It's very important.
Ugh, always. Yeah. All right, you have roll number 2 now.
Okay.
Let's see what we got.
Ladies
I know what
night.
I want you to roll.
Oh boy,
All right.
Is it 6?
Okay, you did get one of my favorite questions, and I know this is right up your alley.
Okay.
This topic is called Scream.
Okay.
What's your favorite scary movie?
Oh, that's easy. The original Halloween. Went out of my house. Oktoberfest, because I'd love a beer, but no.
Honestly, beer and a horror movie.
Yeah, right?
Speaking to my heart right now.
Yes.
Wait, what's your preferred beer?
I like IPAs, but my very favorite beer is a Pilsner. It's Oscar Blues Mama's Little Yellow Pills.
Ooh, I'll take that.
Oh, it's very
I'm a
good.
Hefeweizen drinker.
Oh, are you?
Anything usually with with a touch
piece
of
orange.
like blood orange
Yeah.
or mango seems to be the favorite at the
Oh,
moment.
nice.
Yeah.
Very summery.
Yes. Wait, I have another horror movie question
Okay.
I want to ask. So Halloween, the original, is like the OG favorite, all-time favorite. Is there a recent horror movie you've seen that, I don't know, kind of inspires you and excites you for the future of the genre in Hollywood?
I mean, I love, oh gosh, what is the name of that movie with Liv Tyler?
The Strangers.
The Strangers. I love that. It scares the crap out of me because it could happen. And I camp a lot. I'm out in the woods. I live on top of a mountain, and it's freaking scary. I showed it to my son, and he was like bored, yawning. I couldn't believe it. He ruined it for me because I thought it was the scariest movie that I've seen in a very long time.
It's so scary.
Yeah.
Why did you do it? Because you were home.
I know.
Having no motive is one of the scariest things ever.
Exactly.
All right, third and final roll.
Okay.
And then we get to the meat of it.
Oh,
Number
it's
6
again.
Wait, you got another roll now. You have to
no,
roll
I
again.
have to roll again until I don't get a 6.
Oh no.
Uh-oh, 666.
Very on vibe for Yellowjackets.
4.
Number 4 is set vice. Can you tell me an on-set vice you have, something you turn to power through a tough day or something like that?
I don't want to say. It's cigarettes. I'm a horrible person. It's the least the thing I like least about myself. I'm constantly trying to quit. And in fact, I did. I quit for like 2/3 of last season because I had to act this close to Lauren for the whole season. So I was like, I have to do a favor for you and quit smoking. But I'm back on it again, and it's really hard to quit, especially on set.
Yeah, it's not easy.
There's a lot of stress going on.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you see what your character goes through. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Collider Ladies Night for another Yellowjackets edition of the show. Tawny Cypress,
Hey.
I'm so happy to finally have you on this show.
I'm so happy to be here.
I feel like I've gone through, I don't know, like 75% of your ensemble, so it's about time. I'm going to get to everybody.
Oh, good. Yes, you should.
Oh, I will.
They're all very interesting.
What is the movie you saw, the performance you saw, personal experience you had, whatever it may be, that first made you say to yourself, I absolutely have to be an actor?
Oh, gosh. It's not a movie that I saw. I met Susan Sarandon in an elevator when I was very little, like 8 and 9 years old. And I knew who she was, and I was in awe. And she was very, very, very nice to me. And I thought, God, what I would give to have that kind of life. But even before that, I would say, I mean, I was a latchkey kid. I was raised on television. That was our babysitter. And honestly, I just really wanted to crawl into that box. I wanted to be with the Growing Pains family and with, family ties. I wanted to be a part of that. And so that was really the draw of it for me.
I didn't want to crawl into the box. I just wanted to hug it and be close to it.
That's so funny.
And that's why I'm here.
Look at us.
I tried to do the work you did. I went to film school and I made a movie. And
awesome.
And it was wonderful, and I appreciate the experience, but it very much confirmed that, I am happy and most myself celebrating
Understood.
Other people's hard work. So you discover the itch to become an actor. What did you think at the time was the first step to actually making that happen and becoming a professional actor? And now, having done it, would you recommend that to an aspiring actor?
Wow. I thought that I had to study. So I studied and studied and studied. I studied everything that I could study. Every technique that there was, and years and years and years. And then finally, I was going to take another class, and I said, what should I do now, to my mentor? And she said, Tawny, no, at some point you have to go out and do. And it was terrifying. I was like, oh, okay, I guess I'm going to be an actor now. I do recommend studying. I mean, it's great. It's like there's an old commercial in New Jersey about Apex Technical School. And once you learned how to use a tool, it went into your toolbox and you kept it forever. And that's how I feel about, acting techniques and stuff, crying on cue. You got to be able to pull these techniques out of your toolbox and to use them in tough moments. But
I could talk about acting techniques all day long. Honestly, it fascinates me how there's endless approaches to the work you do.
I agree.
I do want to start with school, though, specifically your BFA, because I also love asking about the experience of studying a craft like acting in that kind of setting.
Yeah.
When you studied at Rutgers, what is something you left with, like a tool in that toolkit that you are still using to this day? But then also, what is something that all the schooling in the world never would have prepared you for when you hit your first set?
Oh, my gosh. I never finished at Rutgers, unfortunately, so I don't have my BFA. But I studied there for half the time and then transferred to William Esper Studios in New York, who runs the program at Rutgers. So it was really just a continuation of that program in New York. And something that I used, definitely the crying on cue. That's a big one for me because not as much anymore. Certainly at the beginning of my career, you really, it's so nerve-wracking when a director turns to you and says, do you think you can do some tears for the next take? And you're like, maybe. And so it's the breathing techniques that I learned, the relaxation techniques, the getting in touch with the emotion and letting your skin open and all of that, preparing yourself to have the big emotion is something that I did for a long time and still do sometimes, but it's become a muscle now that I've exercised a lot.
Follow-up questions.
Yeah.
Because you brought up crying on cue, I love asking this every once in a while. What is a seemingly silly, everyday thing that human beings do that is most difficult to replicate on screen? Like things like
drinking. I can't. Drinking. The drunk? I don't know how people do it. Honestly, I get drunk a lot. Like, you would think I would be really good at it. But Christina brought up a point. She said we use things that we recall and use those in our acting. And when you're drunk, you can't recall what you were how you were feeling and what you were thinking. So it's hard to replicate that.
She's very good at it.
She's so good at it.
Episode 2,
She
the
thinks she's
sleepover
bad.
episode, just like I was
know.
tickled by that trio.
Even the bar scene. Oh
that
my
too.
God, she's so good.
So impressed.
I love her.
My other follow-up question. So you were telling me about how Rutgers kind of paved the way to William Esper, but
Sure.
I'm also curious, like, why particularly that studio and the technique that I believe that's Meisner, right?
Meisner, yeah.
Is there anything about that particular technique that you thought best suited you and what you wanted to do?
Definitely. The pinch and the ouch. Like, I like the 7 questions of method and all that. You know, I really enjoy all of it. I do a little bit of Alexander, movement stuff. But Meisner, the pinch and the ouch, like, that is everything. That is everything to me as an actor. That's what it is. In the moment, it's pinch and ouch, and it has to match.
I'll stick with techniques for a little while longer because I could do this all day long.
I never get to talk about this.
This makes me so happy. And it also, like, sometimes it makes me nervous to ask these kinds of questions because I also feel like it's so hard to articulate, like, how you do something as an actor, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So when folks can talk about it, it just fills me up. Of all of the co-stars you've ever worked with, we can go Yellowjackets or anything, can you name someone who has a very similar approach to the work as your own, where, like, the second you met, you were immediately in sync, but then I also wanted an example of the opposite, someone with a completely different approach who challenged you to adapt and maybe try something new?
Well, I did work with somebody who actually went through the exact same program that I went through. She was a part of the original script of Yellowjackets, but my character was changed between episode 1 and 2, so we had to reshoot a lot of stuff. But working with her was amazing because we spoke the same language, you know, and that was great. It was awesome. I've never experienced that before, actually. And then I've also had a co-star who did not learn any of their lines and would actually hold the paper in front of them while they were acting, hold their sides and just put them down, look at the thing, put it down and do that. And they were so mad at me for memorizing lines because I would mess up and they'd go, ugh, another take. And I was like, just use the paper. Just use the paper. And I'm like, I'm fucking acting over here. I'm sorry to curse. But
You're allowed to curse here. We curse here.
I'm like, I'm acting, for crying out loud. What are you doing? So, no, I did not kowtow to what they were doing. No.
Ooh, that is frustrating.
It was
I don't
very
like hearing that.
frustrating.
Your approach, I like to say any approach is the right approach as long as it feels good to you. In that particular case, your approach is the right approach. All right. Jumping into some earlier credits before Yellowjackets, one of the first things that I wanted to ask you, and I know this is a thing that, I don't know, actors tend to not have full confidence in, but I was wondering, of all of your earliest credits, is there any one that you did that kind of made you say to yourself, like I've made it. I've got a foot in the door, and I feel like I'm here right now?
Well, I mean, my first major role, I don't know how early you're talking about, but when I got Heroes, I went and I auditioned against Ali Larder. She and I went up for the same role. And it was so obvious that she was right for the role. I mean, they were looking for a gimmick. They were looking for a white lady with a black husband and a mixed son. That was in the script. In 2006, if that's what they wrote in the script, that's literally what they're looking for. So I didn't even know why I was there. And then on the way back to the airport after the screen test, I got a call from the creator, and he was like, listen, we can't offer you that role. And I was like, obviously. And he said, but there's this other role. It's a recurring role. We'd like to change it into a series regular if you'd like to take that. And I was like, man, I will sweep the floors for you. Are you kidding me? I'll do anything. And that's when I was like, wow. I did it. There wasn't even a role for me, and I did it. And that was it.
I have a big spot in my heart for Heroes.
Heroes was fun.
A lot of the ones that I grew up watching week to week, 'cause we don't really have that shared experience. Actually, Yellowjackets does do that.
That's
though,
true.
Now
You're
that
right.
I say that out loud, but that was a very special show. So wait, was that your first series regular role?
That was my first series.
Okay, so then from there, it's Unforgettable and also So Yellowjackets just feels different to me in that respect because you started from the beginning, because I know with like the Blacklist, you had the spinoff, but that was a spinoff, and Unforgettable, it was a series regular in season 2. Here you are a main role at the very beginning, and you're a big part of shaping what this show was going to become.
So cool.
When you booked this role in particular, like what did it mean to you and how did it differ from those past ones?
Well, it was pretty amazing, I have to say. I mean, here's a story for you. I was out of work for a long time, and it was very scary. And I would wake up in the middle of the night and cry and be so terrified of what was going to happen. And one day, out of nowhere, my aunt called me on my father's side. And she said, Tawny baby, call me. No, she texted me. She said, Tawny baby, call me. And I was like, oh, geez, she wants something. So I called her up, and she said, hey, your grandmother wants you to talk to her. And my grandmother's been dead for, 20 years now. And she said, your grandma is worried about you. She wants you to talk to her. And I said, okay. I didn't even question. I was like, okay. She said she wants you to tell her what you want and make it big. And I'm going to tear up saying this. And I just was like, okay. And I happened to own my grandmother's piano. I inherited it after she passed. So in the middle of the night, when I would wake up and start crying, I would go downstairs to the piano and I'd sit down and I'd leave room for my grandma next to me. And I'd just tell her, I'd say, I want a show. I want a really good show. I want the best job I've ever had. And I want it to be good, and I want it to last. And like a month later, I got this show.
She over-delivered.
She over-delivered.
You got such a special show.
Yeah.
Such a special show.
I mean, it was
excited.
perfect for me. It's like a Jersey girl show. I'm like, I was like, really, Grandma? This? Wow.
You eat this roll up.
Thank you.
Like, I'm always enthusiastic when I get to talk film and television, but there are select shows and films that have that extra special place in my heart. And really, Yellowjackets has quite heavily defined what is it, the last 4 years of my professional life.
Oh,
and
really?
I appreciate it quite a bit.
That's good.
So, digging into the beginnings of the show now.
Yes.
I don't necessarily know if this is your approach to the work, but you could blame this question on Ella Purnell, actually, who put this idea in my head.
Okay.
We were talking about the idea of finding your character on a TV show and how, you start out, you're on unstable ground, you don't quite know who they are, but then you do something either in prep or on set, and you know with certainty, I have just figured out who they are.
Yeah.
Did you have that with Taissa, and if so, when?
Oh, for sure. And it was with Jasmin, actually. In the early days of the role, we would get together, we'd talk about the character a lot, but it was really the physicality of the other Tai where I was like, okay, I can do this. Up until then, I was like, I don't even know how to approach this other character. This is a made-up thing. We're not doing disassociative right? That's not what okay, good. That's not what we're doing. So we are making something up here. And so Jazz and I sitting in the park, eating lunch, doing crazy physicalities. That was the moment we were both, I think, like, okay, we can do this. This is what we're going to show them.
She's so cool. I'm just in awe of your entire ensemble.
Me too.
Some of my favorite casting choices ever.
Constantly.
Couple follow-up questions. I'll stick with Jasmin for a moment longer because I know all of the present day and 90s pairings have different ways of approaching the collaboration.
Yes.
So what was it like for the two of you finding out, how far you needed to go versus how much you needed to leave to mystery?
Right. I think that we had, like I said, early discussions. We haven't really discussed it too much since then. We are very similar people. When we got to Vancouver, we both brought our female cats with us. We lived in apartments that were rented to us by the same landlord. We both drove the same car. Like, we have so many similarities already that it's actually been so easy. You would think it would be hard to share a role, but it's been so easy.
What's your cat's name?
My cat's name is Jolene.
Oh, Jolene.
Yeah, she's my familiar.
Oh, my. That's an important thing to have.
Yes.
So we were talking a little earlier about, the mystery of the show. And that's another thing that I know all the actors have a different approach when it comes to, like, needing answers or not looking for answers and keeping things fluid.
Yeah.
So, like, on that scale, where do you fall?
I want all the answers. I am so intrigued. As a fan, I literally, I will trap Ashley and just ask her fan questions. And, and she will answer them sometimes. But I don't trust them at all to tell me the truth at all.
I feel like a lot of the questions I have written down are going to signal that, like, I don't trust them and I don't trust anything that's happening. Can you maybe give me an example of a time in any of the seasons where you needed to ask them for a reason for something just so you knew how to play it?
Oh, yes. I'll give you the example at the end of season 1 with that smile when after Taissa wins the election. I guess I didn't understand that this other Tai was coming out or that she was evil, quote unquote, because it took Ashley coming out from the monitors and coming over and being like, no, we need you to be evil now. And then we're going there. Okay, so that was a particular moment. But then there are other moments. I've said this one as well. I asked them about Biscuit the dog. I said, no, I don't. I'm not going to kill the dog, right? They're like, no, you were going to kill the dog. But we've reworked it, and now you're not killing the dog. And obviously, that was a goddamn lie, so I don't trust them.
Oh, I feel for them as people. I feel for Biscuit. I feel for family and friends. I don't even know. As you got past season 1 and started to watch what Jasmin did in the 90s timeline, whether it's season 1 or season 2, is there anything that happened in that timeline that you found influencing your own performance, maybe more than you expected it to?
I mean, a lot of nuanced things, certainly. She does such a beautiful job. The abortion scene is one of my favorite moments for her, and it's a horrible scene, but the tenderness she has, it's hard for me to take things from what she's doing with the character because the character's become so narcissistic in her old age, and she, is very selfish. She was kind of selfish then, but actually she was very much everybody's friend. That's what I see when I look at what Jasmin's doing, She was always there. I remember she was the one asking why Jackie was out in the cold. She was very much that. My Taissa is not that at all. She's the opposite. Everything she does is for herself.
Oh, I have follow-ups. I'm going to save that for when I get to season 3. Here's a big old season 2 question, because one of the biggest deals ever was the casting of present-day Van, and you and Lauren are just like, you're so perfect together.
I love her.
It's the same thing with Jasmin and Liv. I feel like
I agree.
I've seen so many wonderful on-screen relationships that, like, there's something about the chemistry all of you have that just, like, it hits me to my core and it's beautiful. Yeah. I know, like, she's an icon. She's so experienced. I'm sure you met her and you knew how good she was going to be. But do you remember maybe one of the first things that happened that signaled to you, like, without a doubt, like, you are the Van to my Taissa.
I mean, at the very first moment, like walking into the video shop, it was so exciting for me. You're right. What Jasmin and Liv did with that character, with that storyline, with those characters, with that love, we made a decision immediately, Lauren and I, to honor that. All we want to do is honor what Jasmin and Liv have established, and it's been a friggin' thrill, actually. We have a beautiful story to tell, and but yeah, that first moment walking into the video store was it was great. I felt I was so happy. I felt like I got like this. Yes, I've got this great storyline and a great scene partner for however long we get to do this.
I love moments when you can feel that way on set, and in the finished product, it makes the viewer feel that way too. Really, like seeing the two of them finally come together in the present day was everything. Okay, so I'm going to tiptoe towards the other now. Okay. So one particular thing that I'm curious about with that is I guess what direction you need to be given in terms of, I guess specifically what it wants. There's just a multitude of moments thus far, all the way through what I've seen in season 3, where it is abundantly clear that the other has a mission.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they've told you everything about this, but how do you play that intention if you don't know?
Yeah. It's a great question. That's a great question. You wing it. No. I think we've established that the other wants the same things that Taissa wants, but has a different way of going about it. And she thinks she can do a better job than Taissa. So we're going to see her basically kick Taissa out and sort of run the show for a while. And it's going to be fun.
I don't know if this is my theory brain spinning out of control, but the way you just phrased that, like she thinks she could do a better job. Like I feel like I see that in the 90s timeline because young Tai thinks she could do a better job than maybe the other people who have leadership positions. I love that. I love those kinds of echoes. Just because I have this note here, I was curious. Does she still have a shrine?
That's a great question. I gotta find out. I don't know. I hope not. I hope not.
I hope not too.
But there are other shrines in the world, so
we see one of the shrines.
Right.
I'll get to that in a minute. So I stick to my roadmap somewhat. I have my head is exploding with questions right now. One other thing from season 2 I did want to ask you about, both in terms of wrapping your head around what the story is and also just how you feel as an actor who is part of this team, what it was like when you found out that Juliette would not continue on with the show, because I got to imagine that rocks you in every single sense.
Absolutely. I mean, listen, it was not a sudden thing. We knew it was coming. She was unhappy for a while, so we knew eventually she was not going to be on the show anymore. Saying goodbye was really hard. She's walking art. That's what I call her. Oh. She's amazing. Watching her work is so cool. It is so neat. It's like watching a rock concert, you know. She's absolutely phenomenal. It was very sad. Art. Yeah, she is.
Oh, I love that descriptor.
You should see some of the outtakes, man.
I bet. I just saw her at Sundance for 2 films, and the coolest thing ever is she was there with 2 films that were so wildly different.
Wow, that's so awesome.
Endless range, that one. And I'll follow her to whatever she does.
Me too.
All right. Season 3. Here's one of the first things that I was wondering, because in the 90s timeline, it seems to be a concern for Taissa then. How does your Taissa feel about being a leader? Because her political career has essentially been obliterated. And from my perspective, she's like a little flippant about it. It's kind of like it happened and whatever. Does she care about having power anymore?
No, I think she cares about being in love. I think she cares about, she's in a point this season where she's ecstatic. She can taste the air. She can touch, everything is brand new for her, She's wildly in love, and then she's going to make that last.
I feel that. Yeah. I feel that when I'm watching it. So, teeny tiny detail. I'm not sure if the showrunners told you the answer to this question, but did you ever have a conversation about what the name of the restaurant meant?
No. What is the name of the restaurant?
Oh, really?
No, what is it?
I translated it. I'm not going to say it in French, right? Someone's going to make fun of me now. It's pas de me? I don't know, but it translates to no soul.
Who would name their restaurant?
For all I know, maybe I'm doing something wrong, but I put it into Google Translate 20 times to make sure.
Well, everybody's gonna. I would too. I didn't even notice that. No, I had no idea, and I'm sure it does mean something. Wiskayok. Did you hear about that? Did they tell you about that?
What does that mean?
So, it's a Jersey, Lenape, the Native American tribe, is a Jersey nation, and they have words all over New Jersey, Manasquan, and all these words of towns all over New Jersey. So Ashley and Bart went and found somebody who speaks Lenape and got them to Wiskayok roughly translates to like killer girls or something like. It's pretty crazy. Like it's a deep dive.
I'm
for
truly
sure.
shocked that I haven't like come across that on a Reddit
No.
thread, given how much time I spend there. So sticking with the restaurant name for a
the
quick
restaurant
moment. So she takes the matches at a point, and it's got the restaurant name on it. And then she essentially goes to another shrine and kind of burns the matches in what felt like a ritual.
Sure did.
What were the intentions behind that action?
Yes.
Is she trying to, I guess, touch base with the wilderness?
I mean, that was my interpretation of it for sure. Like I said, I feel like after this season, you're gonna go back to season 1 and 2 and realize that you saw other Tai a lot more often than you thought.
Read my mind because I had this conversation with a friend earlier. We're busy texting and we're like, have we seen other Tai yet? We're both up to the same point. We watched their episode 4 and we're both like, no, but have we? Have we? I knew that was going to be your answer.
I mean, the season will let you know.
I'm so curious. I'm so curious. It's one of the greatest things ever, especially with, I feel like we don't get the opportunity or we don't feel the urgency to do it with series as much as we do film. But when I know that I can go back around after seeing more story and know that more things are there to be discovered.
Yeah, that's fun.
It's such a fulfilling experience. So the next item on my list here is The Man with No Eyes. So for this particular element of it, I guess the first thing I need to hit before I even get to the reveal in episode 3, I believe.
Okay.
There's the part where you're both running from the restaurant. You get away, and then there's the kiss, and the man with no eyes appears exactly like the moment after that happens.
Yeah.
Did they ever tell you why it was that moment, or maybe give you any parameters for why the man with no eyes appears when he does?
I believe that again, it will be answered later in the season. You're gonna figure some things out, and that's gonna let you know that you should rewatch it.
Happily we'll I love trying to figure out
this
all
season
these
is definitely going to be
clues.
like a rewatch.
Okay. Oh, I'll take that. I've already rewatched the first 4 episodes more times than I'm willing to admit right now. Okay, here's a very hyper-specific question. Okay. I tend to get very obsessed with dialogue delivery, especially in the show, and I'm sure you're saying all these things that I am not aware of right now. The particular line that I have here is it's after Van tells Tai about the different prognosis, and you say, the waiter was the sacrifice and your new prognosis, well, that's the gift. What was it like finding the right tone for that line and then also the right reaction shot after? Because that right there is the one time I think I see the other.
Yeah, I think that, Tai this season will do anything to keep her love alive, and she's ready to believe. She's ready. She will kill for this girl and is ready. So, it was really just an excitement. It was it was the bubbly excitement that she's feeling about what's going on with her and keeping this girl, and there's a chance, so that was the I
always feel so bad for them when they have like moments of excitement because I know it's going to go away. Like there's one scene, I know it's a vision, but it's Sophie Nélisse and like she sees her son. And I think it's the first time I've seen 90s Shauna smile in like God knows how many episodes. And the fact that I know it's not real, it breaks my heart.
For real, yeah. I know, she's so good. And this season, my God, she goes through it.
I will say this forever. She deserved that Emmy nomination for
absolutely.
season 2, episode 6.
Well, if she doesn't get it this year, I mean, honestly, I don't know. There's a lot. I
got a lot to say
She's
about
got
that.
a lot to show off. She does.
So good, so good. All right, I have another man with no eyes question. I know you can't reveal the details necessarily, but what did it mean to you after essentially 3.5 seasons or 2.5 seasons to know that there's a root to it?
That's nuts.
Yeah.
This is it? That's crazy. And I know that this isn't the end. I know that there's going to be something down the line that's going to even explain it further. But just, first of all, I'm glad people are getting some sort of answer. Where did this guy come from? Well, we're going to find out. But what a irreverent freaking thing.
It is. I also feel like it's like shockingly grounded and relatable because like how many people have grown up with some sort of like supposedly kid-friendly thing that is actually traumatizing?
Yes. And that's the thing about the show is that everybody's always supernatural. And as a fan, I also like to go into the supernatural of the show. But I feel like bit by bit, they're just explaining to you that these people are just a little crazy.
That's been my stance since day one, and I can't tell if I'm being stubborn by holding tight to it or if I've been right since the beginning.
Right.
I love having this conversation with
Me
people.
too.
So, episode 4 now. So, the first thing I'm curious about in that one is the phone call to Lottie. I was a little surprised that she like picked up the phone and called Lottie. But then again, I'm surprised with how everybody interacts with Lottie because I never know how someone feels about her at any given moment. One thing that I was curious about in terms of the content of that phone call, though, was even if Lottie had answered her question, and even if the answer was what Taissa wanted to hear in that moment, do you think she would even fully believe her?
That's a good question. I think definitely she would. I think she wanted her to say that. She wanted to hear it so that she knew that it was true. But she didn't need it. Like, she did not need Lottie to tell her that it was true. She was already, she's on that train. She's going.
She's on a mission. And if I've learned anything over the course of the show, when Taissa is on a mission, she sees it through.
Watch out.
The next scene I did want to hit is particularly the one by the door before, or at least when she is stopped from going into that man's apartment.
Oh, yes.
It's just a really great beat between you and Lauren. So I am curious, just from a scene partner perspective, what was it like working on that moment together?
Oh, I loved it. Well, it was a long day, so we were done. We were tired, actually. But we definitely are looking for the moments where it's the love is palpable, and that's one of them. That moment where they look at each other before they before Taissa closes the door and moves on to her next idea. It's an aching love, and I definitely believe that that's one of the moments that was, indicative of that aching love.
Again, I feel exactly what you're describing.
Oh, good.
So the question that, I don't know, maybe you might be able to answer this one. So when she goes to this person's door, I know she doesn't go in, but if she went in, what was she going to do?
She was going to kill him. She was going to kill him.
So she would...
He picked the queen card.
She would kill that person and not let the wilderness do it, though.
That's a good question, actually. I don't know. Yeah, she would. She would kill. She was going. I mean, that was intention.
I never know. That's what's so interesting about the show. That line is blurred.
It's true, but you're breaking into somebody's house. You're not just going to stand around and be like, maybe he'll slip in the tub.
Honestly, that's kind of what I was picturing.
That would be awesome.
She'd just be like creeping in the corner, waiting for something Final Destination style to happen.
That'd be funny.
So I want to see more so badly. So at this point, if you could go to the showrunners and have any burning question about this show answered, what would it be and why?
Oh, gosh. I have a question. I can't say it out loud. I do have a very burning question, and I was with Ashley last night, and I did ask, and she would not say anything, so they wouldn't tell me.
Okay, I respect that. I'll circle back when I'm allowed to ask for the answer, which will happen in
season 5.
Oh God, season 5. All right. We've hit the end of Ladies' Night, and
Amazing.
I've gotten in the habit of ending on 2 particular questions. This first one was inspired by a conversation I had with a director recently. And it's because I think the point he was making is very important. He kept telling me about how happy it made him to see his cast and crew have, such joy on set doing the work and take such pride in their work, too. So over the course of these 3 seasons that you've made now, can you single out the single most joyful experience you had at making Yellowjackets as an artist?
Oh, gosh. The single. There was a moment. First of all, our crew is so incredible. Everybody behind the scenes really does love this project, and they bring their absolute best to this show, which is so appreciated. And I love being around all of them all day. They make work so much fun. But at the end of season 2, when we're at Lottie's compound, there's a point where we're standing around the bar and we're drinking or what, and just shooting the shit. And in fact, I don't think we have any actual lines in this particular scene I'm thinking of. It's you can hear just us muddled voices or whatever. And it was so late at night, and after about 11:30, Juliette turns into a 14-year-old boy, and it's all like dumb jokes, juvenile things, and we had so much fun. It was laugh, and in that moment I thought about just how lucky I am, and how great this is, and how much fun it is at 4 o'clock in the morning in the freezing cold.
I love hearing that you had that.
Oh yeah,
I love when people have fun doing the work.
I love it. Yeah.
At
it's a great
film
project.
school, I always had, everyone would have to work on everyone's project. And there was one kid that would always AD everyone's project. And every single time the mood would turn south, he'd look around and he'd be like, guys, we're making a movie. I think about that all the time when I'm stressed, but I'm doing something I love.
Hell yeah. Yeah, it's awesome.
So, last ladies' night question. Admittedly, is a question that people don't like to answer, but I don't care because I think this thought is important too.
Okay.
In this industry, we give each other awards. Super cool. We should keep doing that. Yeah. Nobody tells themselves good job as much as they should. I want to know something you've done thus far making Yellowjackets that you know you'll always be able to look back on and say, you know what? I'm really proud of what I did there.
Oh, wow. There's so much about Yellowjackets. I'm really proud that I'm able to deliver what they're asking me to deliver. I don't think I would have been able to do it at the beginning of my career, and it's the right place and the right time. And I'm very proud that when they say this is what we're looking for and some crazy idea, that I'm able to do it, and you nailed it. So that makes me very, very happy as an actor.
You should be so proud of that. Again, you should be so proud of the show overall.
Oh, thanks.
Friggin' love it and can't wait for more. I'm going to say.
Well, honey,
I'm excited. I know. I'm hanging on for dear life. I know what the rules are. I'm going to say congratulations on everything you've accomplished on Yellowjackets, these 2.5 seasons that I've seen, and everything coming your way in the future.
Thank you so much.
I'm definitely going to be bugging you to come back to Ladies
I will
soon.
definitely. This has been awesome.
I'm glad you enjoyed this.
Yeah.
We did it.